Hello buddy, Son Rich here with another video. It's not 12 inches. This is a response to a new channel I discovered, Racer Records. It's my hometown, 10 bands or musicians from where I live. Now, I've lived in California my whole life. Most of it in the LA County area, but I was born and lived in Bakersfield. I moved to Alhambra, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, and it's actually borders East LA, and it's right next to Cal State LA, and that's the reason I moved to LA. I separated from my first wife, and I moved to Downey, and then I moved to Bell Gardens, and then back to Bakersfield. So there's 4 cities in total, but I'm only going to represent 3, and that's more than what you needed to know. First off, from Bakersfield, you got Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. I have a number of his albums, but I wanted to show this one, man, because those suits are so funny, man. I just get a kick out of that stuff. And I went to junior high with one of Buck Owens' sons. And, you know, the different classes used to have games against each other. They'd have tournaments like. And I remember I got into a push fight with Buck Owens' son over the game. Next one from Bakersfield is Merle Haggard. I thought I would show a later one. I really like this album, man. 501 Blues. And it's got a pretty cool picture. It's kind of blurry, but yeah, Merle Haggard, another example of what they called the Bakersfield sound. And apparently my brother went to elementary school with one of Merle Haggard's sons. And I guess Merle Haggard showed up to a PTA meeting. That's, my mom and dad met him, you know. These guys were very, I met Buck Owens and I knew people that worked for him. Very, very friendly guy. He was probably more friendly than Merle. My third one from Bakersfield is Bonnie Owens. It's a pretty good album. Bonnie Owens was married to Buck Owens. Then she got married to Merle Haggard. It's kind of like that George Harrison, Eric Clapton thing, you know? But yeah, but she kept the name Owens. Now, a little bit later, in the 70s, we got the Bakersfield Boogie Boys. That's a funny cover, man. This is on Rhino Records. This is the kind of stuff Rhino Records started out doing. Rhino Records had 2 record stores in LA. And that's how they got started. Then they started putting out kind of goofy stuff or obscure stuff, you know. And this is one of their early releases. And these guys were on a Devotees compilation. It was like a compilation of bands that kind of sounded like Devo, and they do kind of sound like Devo. It's 3 covers and 1 original. They cover Okie from Muskogee, the Merle Haggard song, Get Off My Cloud by the Stones, I Get Around by the Beach Boys, and Flying Tigers, I believe is an original. Then a little bit later after that, in the 90s, we got Korn. I only have them on cassette. I think Korn, they're a band that when they were around, they were probably overrated. But I think now they're actually underrated. And yeah, this is a pretty good album, man. I dig a few of the Korn albums. And then we got a heavy metal band from Bakersfield. Another cassette, Premonition. It's a Chaotic Productions. This is excellent. Excellent. And we got one more. I'm going to show cassette. I'll show 2 more cassettes. I'm going to show 4 cassettes, and they only count as one record because a cassette's like a quarter of a record, you know. This is L'Adore, I guess. Pretty interesting cover there. And this one, man. This one is it's kind of it's punk rock, but it's got electronics and that in it. It's very unusual, and it's very, very good. And my last one I'm going to show, I showed this in my punk rock tag, and it's Freeze Dried Death, Bakersfield Hardcore. And that's it. And I think, no, I guess it was that other one. Anyways, this is, you know, typical hardcore. And it's just a blank tape when they wrote the name on the, I think it's this one, man. Yeah, this one. This one has an address on it of Columbus Avenue, and that's very close to where I live. And my final one from Bakersfield is the Soul Champs. Fantastic soul-infused dub reggae. It's not dub. It's a ska reggae type of thing. The guy I know from the Going Underground Records is the guitar player and main songwriter. Him and his girlfriend. I think that's supposed to be him, and I think that's supposed to be her. Excellent album, man. Really good. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. And like I said, I moved to Alhambra, went to Cal State, moved to Downey. And I got 3 from Downey. The big 3. And they all, besides being from Downey, they all have something else in common, which I'll get into. But the first one is the Carpenters. This is my only Carpenters album. The singles, 1969 to 1973. When the Carpenters were around, I wasn't really into it. I was more of a hard rock, and then I was into jazz, you know, fusion, Miles Davis and stuff. But I saw a documentary on PBS about them, and it really kind of blew me away. And I kind of got interested in them, and this is a great album. When Karen Carpenter passed away, the Circle Jerks actually did a tribute to Karen Carpenter concert. And that was pretty cool. And then there's the punk compilation, If I Were a Carpenter, which has Red Cross, Sonic Youth, and other bands on it. But anyways, Carpenters from Downey, California. And on one of their albums, The Gatefold, it shows their house. Now the other one, from Downey, California, is the Blasters. Rockabilly band, punk rock roots. And the Alvin Brothers, I believe, are from, well, I know they're from Downey. I don't know about the other members. But yeah, I saw them, it was on MTV, I believe. And they were interviewing them, and they went to the McDonald's, which is the oldest McDonald's that's still, you know, there. It's got the golden arches and everything. And they went to Middle Earth Records, the record store in Downey that I saw this. John Carpenter, is it John Carpenter or not John Carpenter? Richard Carpenter. I saw him in that store more than once. But yeah, very cool. And my third one from Downey is James Hetfield from Metallica. Now, Metallica got started when Lars, who I believe was born in Denmark or something like that, Lars put an ad in the Recycler, which was a little magazine, free magazine you could get at grocery stores or wherever. You put want ads in there, or, you know, announcements for yard sales. And Lars put an ad in there, and James Hetfield answered it. I guess he wanted, you know, musicians. And they used to, this, the reason I'm showing this is Garage Days Revisited, and the garage they used to practice in was in Downey, California. But yeah, very cool. Then I met my second wife. We lived in Downey for a number of years. And then we ended up moving to Bell Gardens, which is a step down, but actually the neighbors there were friendlier than they were in Downey, but everybody was cool. But from Bell Gardens, you have Eddie Cochran. And I have a couple of his albums, but I thought I would show Summertime Blues, because most people know that because The Who covered it. The Sex Pistols with... No, the Sex Pistols didn't cover it. They covered another one of his songs. But anyways, off track. He was born in Oklahoma. They came on the Dust Bowl, back in the Dust Bowl times, when the Okies left Oklahoma and they went to greener pastures and to California. Now, most of them, they came out west, and some veered off onto the 58, and they ended up in Bakersfield. And the others that stayed on the what is now the Imperial Highway, ended up in Bell Gardens. And the reason they ended up in Bell Garden is I believe it was the California Highway Patrol. I don't think it was the LA Sheriffs. It could have been. They had roadblocks blocking them from going into Los Angeles. So the Okies settled in Bell Gardens. It's now almost all... When I lived there, I was the only white guy in the neighborhood. But anyways, take care. Except for a couple of crackheads that, wandered around. Anyways, take care. Racer Records. I'm going to leave a link to his video. And take care, everybody.